Be like this. I'll be like,
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the greatest blueprint. Um, I'm having some challenges here. I got to find out what in the world is going on. All right, Deana, I'm gonna pass it to you while I find out what is going on.
okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Deana Davis. I am a therapist and self love coach. And tonight, you want me to keep going, like what we're going to talk about and everything?
Yep, keep
Yeah.
going.
Okay. Tonight, our topic will be when God tells you to move. Is that the topic, or did I just make that up? when it's something along the lines.
You got.
I got it. Okay. When God tells you to move, when it's time to go, when it's time to pivot, knowing when to, listen to what you're being told and to move accordingly. So, this is what we're talking about tonight.
Very good. All right. Now I got one thing taken care of, but now I got
Okay.
to find the other piece that is having difficulty here. So, with StreamYard, I'm able to stream to LinkedIn, to Instagram, and to YouTube all at the same time.
Hmm.
Instagram and YouTube is working fine, but something about LinkedIn is having a challenge.
Okay.
So I
It's
just
not
need to.
Lincoln.
It's not linking. Hey, Les. So
Hi.
I'm gonna see what I can do here
Okay.
and then see if we can redo it. Let's see. Usually some things are easy fixes. And
Hmm.
boom, just like that.
Good.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you kindly, everyone. Okay. Now you told them to have their you know what's and you know what's.
I didn't. I was getting ready to when you said boom, so I said, okay, I'll wait until after the boom.
All right. All right, y'all. We're gonna do old school rewind. All right. We had some technical difficulties for those who are just joining us. We welcome you to the greatest
Blueprint.
this evening on April 16th, 2024. We have some announcements to make tonight and so forth, but we're going to get into the topic first. So, as always, what do they need to have?
They need notebook and a
Mm-hmm.
pen
Mm-hmm.
because we like to give you information that you can
Mm-hmm.
refer back to and reflect on, and
Mm-hmm.
homework assignments as well. So yes.
That's right. That's right. Get to work. Hey there. How are you?
Hi.
So they are here and they are
Yes.
ready. All right. And then we got, UCCN TV over on the Instagram side of life.
UCCNTV.
NTV. Hello, y'all. If y'all have not subscribed, please go over to YouTube right now and subscribe to Ask Dr. Walls 525. And please subscribe to UCCN TV. We are so close to 1,000 people.
Oh,
We are
okay.
so close. Like, I'm like, y'all, please, I'm gonna be doing public service announcements, handing out QR codes. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. So,
You should.
all right, look, you know it. It's coming. It's coming. All right, give them the topic again.
I can't see it on the screen, but I'm gonna just
Yeah.
paraphrase. Okay, is that okay? Okay. The topic for tonight is when God tells you to move. Is
Mm-hmm.
that the topic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
So, right when God calls, when God tells you to move, right? When God tells you it's time to go, how do you know that, right? How do you get those? How do you know what to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because so many times, oh, what do we have here? It says, I think I'm already following, but you can drop the link to that page. Thank you. Will do. I will do it right now. But yeah, so how do you know when God is calling you? And I gave many moons ago
Mm-hmm.
when we started the greatest blueprint. I
Mm-hmm.
had read one of my stories, which is, a call, the call.
Mm-hmm.
And we it's from my book, Live by the Spirit. And let's see where it is, Call of Duty. And let's see. And I talked about how when I was at a workshop, and I kept hearing people throughout this one particular day, I kept hearing people talk about, I was called. I was called. And I was like, what in the world does that mean?
Mhm.
And they just kept saying it. And then finally, I couldn't take anymore. And I was at a workshop and I leaned forward and I said to the person, what does that mean when somebody
Mhm.
says that they're called? And they explained to me that there was something that they were supposed to be doing with their
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
And I go into the story, like I said, on Live by the Spirit, Call of Duty. Maybe I'll read it at the end.
Yeah.
But right then I understood what that meant. And I had this internal knowing of what I was supposed to do in that
Mhm.
moment. And I left that workshop and I remember I called this woman on the phone and I said, I have this idea and I want to know, will you do it with me? And I
Mhm.
just remember her saying, she was like, you are yelling. She's like, you're talking so loud. And I didn't realize it, but it was that internal
Mm.
push of
Mhm.
this is what I know I'm supposed to do, and it's supposed to go like this. And
Mm.
so, what it ended up being was a sister circle. I called it Sister Circle. And it
Mhm.
was for women of color. This was back in, I won't tell you the year, but it was back in the 90s.
Back in the day.
Yes, back in the day. And it was for college students
Mhm.
and giving them a space beyond the Black Student Union, Hispanic Student Union, and places to be able to talk and be heard and to uplift them. And I ran that group a few times. She and I ran it for a few times. And I still, to this day, have students reach out to me to tell them
Mhm.
what an impact it was. And for a lot of them, it was the first time meeting a therapist.
Mhm.
um, and so the reason some of them became therapists, like,
Mhm.
so that, but it was that call and it
Mhm.
was answer. It was choosing to answer the call because I didn't have to answer the call. And
Yeah.
that's part of the message today is sometimes we get the taps, we get the whispers, we get the yells, but we don't always answer that call. So go ahead. What are you thinking? And why was this an important topic for you tonight?
Um, just thinking about our journey with the, blueprint, where we
Mm-hmm.
started, and just the internal growth within
Mm-hmm.
myself. And so, I guess, well, you already like grown,
Mm-hmm.
like spiritually. So I'm just like, just
Mm-hmm.
coming into learning a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things from you
Mm-hmm.
and answering my own calls. Like, not well, listening to the calling that was placed over me in terms
Yes.
of creating a blueprint for self love. And so
Mm-hmm.
you telling that story, you knew that popped in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, like had the same type of calling, very
Mm-hmm.
similar.
Mm-hmm.
And what is this, 7, 8 cycles in?
Yep.
I think it's
Yep.
8. I
Yep. Eight.
completed 8 cycles.
Yeah.
And I still have people, coming in and they're like, oh, it's so impactful. When is this going to be
Mm-hmm.
a part two to my cycle and,
Yep.
all of that. So, yeah, that definitely was an opportunity where I, had that urge, and it just,
Mm-hmm.
when you listen to the calling, everything flows so easily because you're
Yes.
not in the way.
Yes.
And so the creation of it, the implementation of it, the specifics of it, sorry, the specifics of it, it just flows because you're in
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah.
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 That's what
And
I was
and it
thinking about as you were talking.
Yeah, and it's so important because, as you talked about your call for the greatest blueprint, and I remember when you invited me, because I knew I had had a similar call 20 some years earlier, it
Mhm.
was being mindful of what my call was not your call. There was
Mhm.
similarities, there were parallels, and so
Mhm.
forth, but I had to listen to what your call was to assist you with your manifestation of what was supposed to happen, not a
Right. Mhm.
replay of what I had
Right.
done. And
Mhm.
so this
Mhm.
is what's so important because we all have different calls on our life and
Mhm.
we recognize what they are, but they may be different. But there's times for collaboration, there's times for gathering ideas and support, but there's also time for you to do what it is that you're called to do.
For sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Um, So, to your point, when we started the greatest blueprint, what did we identify as our start date? Like March
March
2022?
2021, you said.
Was it 2021?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you said.
It's
Yeah.
been a minute.
It's a long
Right.
time.
Right.
I thought
And
it was
we
2020 two, but you said 2021.
Yeah, I think the first time we did 2021, I think that was
Hmm.
like, and I'm laughing because one person jumped on over on Instagram. Hey, y'all, where when lives first started and people
Yeah.
wanted to get used to lives, you know me, I'm like, well, let's go. And
Right.
so
And I'm like, who Joyce like, let's figure this out.
and I know this person about to testify over here on Instagram because we sure enough were out at dinner and they were like, people are doing these things called lives and so forth. And I said, well, what is it? And that's it. They explained what it was. Here I go, well, let's do it. And so, hey, Claudia. And so I said, well, let's do it. And so we're sitting at dinner figuring out how to do a live.
You
And they're
like,
like,
hey
only
y'all,
with you, right?
right. Hey y'all, this our first live. We don't know what we're doing.
Exactly. We
But
might
we
be
here.
pushing buttons, but we here.
Right.
We showed up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that's for me again, as you're talking about when you're called to do something, everything will flow. All energies will line up. This person had the idea about wanting to do a live, didn't know how to do it, brought it up at dinner. I had no idea what they were talking about, but they are cracking up. They, but they got the right one, right? Because I'm like,
Yeah. You
we gonna
cannot
find out.
tell her anything. Okay. You tell her one little thing. It's like, oh, you want to do it? Let's do it today. Let's do
Let's
it right
go.
now.
Let's
We can
go.
have a party tomorrow. I'm
That's
like,
right.
yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
it,
So,
right? Because I know what it's like to be called to do things and to want the help and want the support and so forth. So, as people are listening, if you are feeling called to do something, write it down. You know, you can put it in the chat. If you want some assistance, we can attempt to help you right now in real time. But put it down, write it down. If you're getting this inner nudging, um, that is just like, I know I'm supposed to do this. And so whether it she said, "Ooh, sounds like me." I don't know if you can see it. So
hmm
look,
which
I'm
part though? Because I turned my Wi-Fi off, so kind of like flicked out a little bit.
okay,
Which part
okay.
sounds like her? Because yeah, she's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in
Mm-hmm.
the day, she'd be like, "We're gonna have an event tomorrow." Same, y'all. Yeah,
Look,
very
it's
similar.
right there.
And I was like, "We need more time. We need to market." She's like, "We don't need to market."
We don't need that. Who gonna show up is gonna show up.
Mm,
So
mm, mm,
let's
mm.
go. Next time they'll pay attention. And because this is how we roll. So, right?
Mhm.
So you need to. So, all right. So here's Call of Duty. About 14 years ago, I was attending a workshop and heard someone say I was called to do. Later that same day, I heard someone else say I was called to do. Each time I heard the phrase I was called, I felt a rumbling inside me, deep within my belly. I couldn't take it anymore, so I leaned to the row in front of me, excused myself, and asked what they meant by I was called. The person smiled and said, God is directing me to do something and I have a calling. At that moment, I knew that I had a calling too. Honestly, I knew that something had been stirring in my spirit for weeks. I had spoken about it and thought about it, but hadn't done anything about it. I now knew it was time. I was, quote unquote, called to duty. I left the workshop, got in my car, and made a call immediately to put the plan in motion. In true spirit form, everything fell right into place. In my book, The Greatest Soul Journey, I encourage people to be still, reflect, reconnect, realign with their soul. When we are in alignment with our soul, we are more attuned to and can recognize when we are receiving a quote unquote call. Now, if you want a Bible scripture verse, you can go to 1 Samuel chapter 3. When we receive a call to duty, it is like an internal push or drive that has a positive impact in our lives and the lives of others.
Mhm.
Remember, when we answer the call, everything and everyone we need to accomplish the task and our goal will be provided in a divine way and in divine time. God bless and live by the Spirit.
Mhm.
So, Mm-hmm. What is somebody said? Mary said over on Instagram. Oh, I definitely know how the tambourine rings.
Yes.
That's right. Then she said, "That's right. Don't waste time to move on things."
Hmm.
That's right. Right. So this is also the part of being obedient
Yeah.
because if you get the call and you answer it, and answering the call means actually acknowledging that you heard it, doing something about it, putting the plan in place, then you're likely to call again. You're going to get
Hmm.
another call at some point,
Hmm.
right? But if
Yeah.
you don't answer that call, and but you waiting on this other call, but you ain't even answer this call, I ain't going to keep calling because I'm not going to trust that you're going to respond or be obedient. I mean, just think about any relationship that you have. When
Hmm.
people, you call people and they don't answer, do you keep calling them?
No.
Same thing happens with self. This is why we encourage you to listen to your intuition,
Hmm.
listen to that inner voice. I'm to say that still small voice, that divine speaking to you, and
Hmm.
answer it and increase, build that obedience muscle, build that response muscle. Because the same way I listened then, and that was back in 1998, I remember exactly what it was, when it was. That was back in August or September of 1998.
Hmm.
Answering that call, how many other calls have I had since then?
Hmm.
But, and I'm telling you, I'm still in relationship with some of those people from that time who I
Hmm.
met because I answered that
The call.
call.
Hmm.
And some of those people have become clinicians who have helped so many other people. If I hadn't answered that call, how many other lives would not have been impacted?
Hmm.
I just can't be that selfish,
Yeah.
and I can't be that scared
Hmm.
not to respond. Go ahead, I can keep going. What's going on inside of you?
I'm thinking about when I received a call to create the blueprint and not really knowing that it was a call at
Mhm.
that time. It just
Mhm.
was, oh, I'm just going to create this program and didn't really make the connection.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe until, I don't know, maybe like a couple of years ago, like maybe
Mhm.
4, 5 years ago or something like that. So that's what I was thinking about. And I was also thinking about like how much you taught me about obedience, right? And so
Mhm.
sometimes you may get a test call or something, like
That's
testing,
right.
see if anybody is, out
That's
there
right.
listening, if you're gonna
I
pick up.
love that. That's right.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you may get the call and you may do something like, let's just say, like, an event or something, you get a calling to do an event, but
Mhm.
it kind of like flops, and so to say. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that you have taught me is the fact that, okay, was it really about the people, or was it to see if you were going to be obedient to do the thing
Mhm.
that you were called to do?
Mhm.
So those are the two things that I was thinking about: the strength in my obedience with
Yeah.
listening to the calls that come in
Yeah.
and implementing, and just releasing it, So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, this is what I'm called to do. I'm
Yep.
going to do it.
Yep.
Not putting too much thought and worry behind it.
Mhm.
Kind of having more of a mindset like you have, like whoever's going to show up is going to show up.
Mhm.
And trying not to get like bummed out, when it doesn't
Yep.
have the potential outcome. And also knowing when to pivot.
Mhm.
That was a big thing for me, I think, within this last year. So pivoting and being open to the pivot and not
Mm.
being stuck on the course that you think you're supposed to go on.
Yep.
But it's so many roads that can lead you to that same end destination. And it may
That's
not
right.
be the time for the thing that you
Yes.
think that you're supposed to be doing or to
Yes.
have or acquire, but you may need to pivot and go around. The pivot is preventing you from
Yeah.
going through a challenge, maybe. So
Yeah.
just
And
changing
yeah,
the thought process. Yeah.
yeah, and understanding that each event is teaching you, training you, preparing you for the next.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And so, like you said, sometimes it's a matter of, oh, it doesn't have the outcome that we were hoping for. You wanted 500 people, but you got 10 people instead. But those 10 people, you had an opportunity to practice. You had an opportunity to connect in a way that you wouldn't have done with 500. you don't know who those 10 people are going to go touch. And so the outcome is the obedience,
Mhm.
right? The outcome is answering the call. It's not what you've imagined it to be or what you wanted it to be. That is, you're strengthening that muscle.
Mhm.
And you talked about pivot. I remember when I got the nudge in February of 2005 that I would be leaving the place where I was employed
Mhm.
and by September 1st. I mean, it was very clear. And I was just like, no, I love it here. I love my team. I love who I'm working with. I love the environment. This is where I want to be forever. Right. And they was like, yeah, okay, you're leaving. You'll be gone by September 1st. And so I was upset. I did not want to hear that. And I begged and pleaded, honestly. Like I felt like
Mhm.
people were like, please, Lord, don't do that.
Please,
Right.
baby,
And
please, please.
right, beg, teacher.
Right.
So I said, I was like, God, would you please change your mind? Like, this is where I want to
Mm.
be. And I kept asking, right? But it was very clear. Like, the message was clear, right? I'm the will,
Yes.
God, I change is not. The message was very clear. You will not be
Yes.
there by September 1st. So I was telling one of my girlfriends, and so she just politely said to me in the sternest voice that I think I had ever heard her before. She was like a little sister. And she said, you don't want to be anywhere where the hand of God is not.
Mm.
Y'all, when I tell you my inner core was like,
Yowzer.
I ain't pray that prayer no more.
Right.
Message
You got it, God.
100% received, right? You said I'm gonna be leaving before September 1st. I won't be
Mhm.
here September 1st. Heard you loud and clear. I'll just mentally start packing it up. And so I waited. This was February that I got that
Mm.
message. And March, April, May, summer, and I kept going like,
Mm.
God, I know I heard you clearly, matter of factly, but nothing seemed to change.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing seemed exactly the same.
Mhm.
August 29th, I have a nightmare and I can't figure out what in the world is going on. But the next day, I was going back to work. August 30th, I go, oh, I'm sorry, August 29th, August 28th, I had the nightmare. August 30th went in, whatever day it was. Yeah. And I had, there had been a change in leadership. And next thing you know, they were having a meeting about my position. And they had wanted me to do more things, but they weren't increasing the compensation. And the question was, do you stay and accept what they're giving you, or do you leave?
Mhm.
So August 30th, they have the meeting. August, needless to say, I already knew what the message had
Yes.
been, right? So August 31st, I went in and I resigned effective immediately.
Mm.
And all I know is the message said you won't be there on September 1st. And packed all my stuff up and I was out. And September 1st, I opened the Greatest Counseling and Consulting
Mhm.
2005. And I've been in private practice for 19 years.
Wow. Mhm.
And again, what if I hadn't listened to the call? How
Mhm.
many things, I mean, God knows how many things I've done since
Even
2005.
still, yes.
Right.
With the calling. Wow.
Right.
You
But
want
had I
three-way
not,
calls.
oops,
I'm gonna connect Kathleen. I'm gonna connect you with Deana. Deana
exactly,
with Kathleen and everybody else.
exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So, right. So there's so many things if we hadn't. And then 8 days later, I had my first contract.
Mm.
Okay. And again, I didn't put out, I literally said, God, you took me out. I ain't do nothing to leave that place. I liked it there. This was your doing. And I was sitting there like,
Mhm.
so make something happen. I don't know what you
Mhm.
got planned, but I need you to make it happen. And I need it to be quick because I'm about to stress out here and I still got bills. I got a car note. I have help.
Mhm.
And a week later, I got a phone call. I got two phone calls actually. And they were like, "What are you doing? This is what we need from you."
Mhm.
And I said, "When do you need me?" And they called me on a Thursday and they said, "We need you Monday."
Mm.
And that's how I started private practice. And so the call comes in all types of ways. What's going on inside of you? Because you know, I have many call stories.
I was trying to think of one. I mean, I know I have so many, but I
Mhm.
can't pinpoint one specific story where
Mhm.
I know, like, okay, it was a calling. Aside from the blueprint, but
Mhm.
I can't think. Can you
Mhm.
think of one for me?
For you, let's see. Well, and I want people who are in the chat, if you have some call stories and
Mhm.
or questions, because it is a level of courage, and this is why we say it's important to build that muscle because it is
Mhm.
a strength. Because trust and believe when it was just like, what in the world am I gonna do?
Right.
You know, here I am with a doctorate. Now, what am I going to do? But now I worked in retail, so if I had to go back to the Gap or Kohl's or something, I'm going to
You
go.
know,
Right.
that was a thought for
Mhm.
me myself as well, but it never connected. It never aligned. I would put applications in and it was just wasn't my thing.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but no, I can't think of a story.
Well,
Mm.
I was thinking about with you just even being in a full-time space and then when it
Oh.
was time to transition and being ready for that transition.
Yeah, that came during the pandemic.
Mhm.
That push because
Mhm.
I saw the impact that I was making
Mhm.
while being, you know, everyone was home and
Mhm.
the need for mental health and therapy was increasing during that time
Mhm.
because everyone had nothing but time to think and
Mhm.
everything was coming up. So I
Yeah.
literally was like doing two full-time jobs at the same time, you know.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of when I knew that it was time to go, you know, 100% like private practice because I
Yeah.
saw the increase in the impact that I was making.
Yeah.
So um, yeah, but I can't even pinpoint like the day or like
Mhm.
a dream or something. I don't know. I think it
Mhm.
was just a feeling that I had. I was like, okay, it's time. But you and I have been preparing me, prepping
Yeah.
me prior to like,
Yeah.
okay, how many clients do you want? How much you want to
Mhm.
make? You know, and
Mhm.
along with other people too, because Aisha, she's also was my business coach or is my business coach still to
Mhm.
this day. But at that
Mhm.
time, I think all of us was kind of like, okay, what do you want to do? How
Yep.
many clients? How
Yep.
much money to save? You were preparing me from the private practice standpoint of like
Mhm.
policies and procedures and you
Mhm.
know hours of operation and
Mhm.
code of ethics and all of those
Mhm.
things. So it was like
Mhm.
I was getting prepared for
Mhm.
it. It
Mhm.
just was the when, you know, and
Yeah.
then when COVID hit in the middle of the year, and
Mhm.
then it was like it just took
Kaboom.
carried us out, you
Yep.
know, that was the big push for
Yep.
me. It was like now. Now I will say I can't think of another specific time, but I know for me, if I hear something or if I get a thought about a particular thing 3 times in a row, like if I hear back to back to back
Good
3 times,
message. Mhm.
that's when I know
Mhm.
do that thing or
Okay.
say that thing or you know because sometimes I think of
Mhm.
you like I said I'm in the shower because the shower is my space.
Mhm.
I'll hear like ask afterwards about this, ask afterwards
Mhm.
about this, and if
Mhm.
I hear it 3 times, that's
Mhm.
my indicator to say it because I know I can't. If I hear it 1 time, I'm gonna dismiss it. But if I
Yep.
hear it 3 times, it's that reinforcement,
Yep.
and it's like, no, you hear it. So I think the work that you and I have done with me that has helped me to understand. You know, that's the go. You
Mhm.
know, when I keep hearing it
Mhm.
over and I keep getting a nudge. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's something else that I
And I'm glad that you talked
learned.
about the difference between us because everybody is different. And so you
Mhm.
have to learn what your nudge is, right?
Mhm.
What your markers are, what your still small voice sounds like and how you respond to it. So I always talk about if y'all remember the show Half and Half and the younger sister, and she always talked about getting the hairs would stand up on her arm,
Yep.
and she knew that was her sign that that was her go.
Yeah.
And even though logically sometimes things don't make sense, but your indicators let you know. And we have to learn to trust that. And this is why we have to develop our spiritual muscle and understanding. And we have to see things with our spiritual eye and hear things with our spiritual ears, and not lean on our own understanding and not lean on our own physical understanding, because sometimes things don't look like
Mm-hmm.
it should
Mm-hmm.
line up, but it lines up.
I want to add one thing. I
So,
also want to add, you don't want to lean on another person's understanding.
for sure.
So, I always say, like, if Dr. Laws tells me to go outside right now, I'm going to go outside right now and twirl and do whatever. But with growth, it's like, okay, I've learned to say, okay, is that good for me? Right.
Hmm.
And I think it is the level of learning and understanding, like for my own self, listen to my own self, learning my own internal cues, because sometimes we can idolize, the people that we deem to be more spiritually inclined, which clients have done that with me, spiritual mentees and everything. So it's like, no, like what is your feeling about it? How do you
Hmm.
feel? Because,
Hmm.
and I know you do that with me all the time. You're like, well, what's I'm like, tell me, girl. Because sometimes it's like, and you don't have a point of reference, right? You
Hmm.
don't have a point of reference, but it's like you have to articulate, okay, I seriously don't know. And if anyone knows Dr. Walls and myself, or more so Dr. Walls, please do not say I don't know, because she'll say that's not acceptable. You do
Not
know, which
acceptable.
to
That's right.
which you do know, but
Yep.
when you really don't know, you
Hmm.
don't know. But you have to be
Hmm.
able to decipher the two. Are you just saying I don't know as a cop out, or do
Hmm.
you really not know? So I became very crafty
Yes.
in learning and understanding, when I really don't know. And she can tell too, right? Because it's like,
Hmm.
it's a genuine, like, no, I legit don't
Right. Right.
know. But when you grow, you begin to know. And so it's
Yes.
like, okay, I know you want me to go outside, but can you give me more information about why you want me to go outside? Is it
Hmm.
a spiritual meaning?
Hmm.
And a lot of times, if it's something spiritual or the calling that she's receiving, she'll say,
Hmm.
okay, this is because of this, and then it'll make
Hmm.
more sense to me as opposed to me just blindly doing it. Now, it
That's
was a
right.
time when I would,
Right. Right.
because
Which,
I trust her,
right.
you know. So,
Right.
but if she calls and says, "Go to the store right now and get 5 cases of water," I know danger or something is coming.
Hmm.
So it's like you have
Hmm.
to decide, like, and decipher which
Yep.
works for you, and
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
connection for you.
And I'm glad that you said that, right? So leaning on one's own understanding, meaning self, but also leaning on physical
Hmm.
understanding. And like you said, someone else. We have to be very mindful of that. So right, so we have to discern, right? We
Hmm.
have to decipher. We got to do the D's: discern, decipher, decide, right?
Hmm.
And then we got to make a decision. So,
Right.
and you're absolutely right, because sometimes we can have faith in other people
Yes.
who may not have the best in mind for us, or
Hmm.
don't know the calling on our lives, right? This is why
Hmm.
we have to know ourselves. It's
Yes.
so important. And it is constantly unfolding.
Hmm.
Um, which is why I'm always giving it back, because I want you to strengthen yourself.
Yes.
And
She's so annoying at times. I'm like, does she know what I'm talking about? Like, why she acting like she don't know? And then she'll be like, yeah, well, I was just testing. She won't say test, but she'll say, I just want to see, I want you to strengthen your abilities. And I was like, yeah, because you gotta make me feel like I'm crazy. Like, what is going on here? But in the end, I appreciate it, because now I'm able to say, matter of fact, like, no, I know, because
Mhm,
boom, boom, boom. So
mhm,
I'm grateful. But in the
exactly.
moment, it's like, I don't like it.
Just give me the answer. No,
Right.
you gotta learn. You gotta
Right.
learn.
So
Exactly.
annoying.
So now let me put this up here so we can see this. So she says, Deana has a calling to assist those that need self love and helping others accelerate in life. And then she also put, to assist those that are going through the spiritual transition from organized religion. Mm.
Okay. You to talk nice to
Yeah.
me.
You want to speak to either of those or just let it ride?
Well, I mean, yeah. So the self-love component, if anyone has been following me in my journey, that evolved from my own journey in dealing with the divorce
Mm-hmm.
and navigating through that.
Mm-hmm.
And with the divorce, I really didn't know, like what to do. I felt like so lost, so sad, had two small
Mm-hmm.
children, and I knew, and Aisha was witness that my kids were eating like Little Caesars every other night, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, no, like, what is going on? And so I
Mm-hmm.
really had to like pull myself up out of it. And I guess it would be like I said, a state of depression.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to, I guess, the calling, and again, I didn't know at that
Thank
time.
you. I was going to highlight it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the calling
Mm-hmm.
came over me to learn how to love myself. No one
Mm-hmm.
had ever taught me that before. It wasn't a thing. I don't even really know if my mom really said that she loved me, if that was a big thing in my
Mm-hmm.
house. So that had to be a calling because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like impressed on me prior to. And so I
Mm-hmm.
went through this journey, went through different steps, and then once I was done, because I was already in the, started my private practice, I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if I needed this, then other women need it as well. And so that's where the birth of the Blueprint for Self Love came from, because it just was a need. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know it was so much of a need at
Mm-hmm.
that time. So this was like, what, 2017, I started it. And now it's like self love, self love, self love. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not braggadocious, but I would like to say at that time, I I researched,
It
right?
was
So I
not a buzz.
knew
It
it was
wasn't.
not a thing.
It wasn't a
Even
buzzword
to
at
have a
that point in
group
time.
at that
Mm-hmm.
time, it was not a thing, because I'm like, I always want to be innovative. I always want to do something different. So I looked up, okay, is anyone else doing groups for
Mm-hmm.
women? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone like therapeutic groups? It might be support groups, but not therapeutic groups like what
Mm-hmm.
I do. And
Mm-hmm.
then self love, that really wasn't a buzzword until more recently. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that I add to the culture, the self love culture, and starting, that cycle, because now I hate to say people will copy, but there have been replicas
Mm-hmm.
attempted,
Mm-hmm.
after and since they haven't been successful, but neither here
Mm-hmm.
nor there. But there have been attempts to recreate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so then the other part about organized religion, I grew up Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I transitioned into Islam, and then from there, during my self love journey, I transitioned out of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And so the organized religion component is like, okay, I love, you know, all religions. I never like put one religion over another. I never
Mm-hmm.
did that. One second.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
But with my self love journey, I became more spiritual. And so my connection with God tremendously increased, because it just was like, okay, God, it's just me and you. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of prayer, a lot of meditating, a lot of connecting with nature. And so that's how my transition out of organized religion came
Mm-hmm.
about, just through loving myself and figuring it out and just becoming connected with myself. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's really a back to basics type of thing, right? You got
Yeah.
to love self, love God, and then you're able to love others.
Yeah, it was a
So,
very naked experience. Like
mm-hmm.
I had to shed a lot
Yep.
and then get to the core, and
Mm-hmm.
then be able to emanate it out to
Mm-hmm.
myself, to my family. I don't know if I told you this, but one day I was in the kitchen and I just sat and I was like, dang, my house feels so happy. Like my house was so peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone in here is happy, down to the cat that was playing
Mm-hmm.
with literally nothing. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I really did this. And it took a lot of work to get to
Yeah.
that point, but it had to
Yeah.
start with me
Yep.
and creating boundaries and understanding what I wanted and what I will not accept. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
is very possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Mm-hmm. So that I'm so proud of my sister.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it does. It takes the work. It takes the time to commit to self. And so as people are going through their journey, we encourage you that you can do it. Number
Mhm.
one, right? All the resources that you need are going to reveal themselves.
Mhm.
I'm glad that you talked about, right, the stripping down,
Yes.
because it definitely is a stripping down. It is a tearing down. I recently saw something that said, like, you're born, they tell you who you are, and then you spend the rest of your life, right, like uncovering and discovering
Mhm.
who you are, right?
Mhm.
So Leslie said, "How awesome!"
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
I literally have tears in my eyes. It was a journey.
It was. It was sad to see, but it was also like to see where I am now is like,
Mhm.
okay, like she had to go through that. She
Yep,
being me.
yep,
I
yep.
had to go through it. But for the people that were watching me, I think you came in midpoint,
Hmm.
but for her to see it from the
The
beginning
jump.
of the transition, I think
Mhm.
she and I transitioned at the same time. So
Mm,
it
mhm.
was like something like the
Yeah,
bond is there because it's just like,
yeah.
okay, I saw you where you saw where I was, and
Mhm.
now look where we are now.
Mhm.
It's something really
Yeah,
amazing. So
that
yes,
is amazing.
it was hard, but yes.
Right, but
Very
right,
doable.
so supports showed up
Yes,
all along the way. Some
yes,
supports, right, reason, season, lifetime. Some stayed, some made
yes.
other changes, right? So, but you get what you need, and this is what we encourage people to know. This number one, to let you know that the support that you need will be provided. Now, there is time where it is just you on
Yes.
this journey.
I was gonna say
That's
that
just the
too.
reality of the journey
Mhm.
that there, and you will feel like you are, sometimes they refer to it as wilderness moments, like you don't know which way to go. How did I get here? How do I get out of here? There are, sometimes they refer to them as valley moments.
Mhm.
And Yala Van Zant wrote a book years ago called Value in the Valley. Um,
Mhm.
and this is, you need that time because you're calibrating yourself, you're getting in tune with yourself. When I moved into my first house, it was a time where I had to reconnect with me, and I literally was in my house for about 6 months by myself. I
Mhm.
had no visitors. I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do
Mhm.
work wise. I was just trying to get a full sense of who I was and what I wanted to put out. And I knew that with my not having clarity, that I would emanate confusion. And I did not ever want to cause anyone confusion.
Yes.
So I needed to get in with my core.
Yes.
And and then to your point, when people then came into my home, they were like, this feels like you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, right? um so, but it's a part of the process, and understand that it is a process. Go
Mhm.
ahead, what's going through your mind?
I actually did the opposite. I thought that I needed additional people in my home to
Mhm.
bring me peace.
Mhm.
And it ended up backfiring because it was too much energy,
Mhm.
it was too much interference, it was too
Mhm.
much imprinting being
Mhm.
done. And I
Mhm.
wasn't fully aware of it because I wasn't fully aware. So
Mhm.
as I'm
Mhm.
working through it, I'm like, why is this so hard? Like it
Mhm.
was so much resistance. And so
Mhm.
once I think I fasted
Mhm.
a couple of years ago, and once I fasted, things were revealed to me
Got
that were
clear.
being done very clear. Like
Mhm.
and one of the things, like a lot of things that I learned from Islam, I still like carry. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, when Ramadan comes, you fast with intention. So when I
Mhm.
did the regular fast and it so happened to be Ramadan that year, I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
look at this, right?
Mhm.
I knew my intention. So I prayed for clarity. I prayed for peace. I prayed for all of these things and
Mhm.
placed the intentions on the fast. And so when I got the
Mhm.
clarity, it was like, okay, this person has to go. And
Mhm.
so once became very clear on that, I started preparing for the removal, and
Mhm.
then this is when the peace came in once the removal was finalized.
And
So
I'm glad that you said that. So for people who are listening, be it live in the replay, there will be people that disappear from your life.
yes,
Again, it's
like
a
real
part.
talk.
Right. It's a part of the process. There will be
Yeah.
people that disappear. Sometimes they'll reappear in another part of the journey, and sometimes they won't.
Yes.
And it's okay. And when you trust that and know that it is for your good, and so know that it is happening for you. So even
Yeah.
if you write that down, the question is, why is this happening for me?
Yeah.
It might not feel good, but it is for your good.
Right.
And when you learn to trust that and know that, and discover the lessons in the relationships and in the events, then you'll move through it a little bit quicker and easier. Not saying that it still won't be challenging,
Right.
but just just a little bit.
Yeah. I also say that when people don't, you don't lose people, people are removed.
Hmm. That's
So
right.
if you,
That's
I
a
help,
very different. Yeah,
yeah. So if you shift into that mindset of like,
yeah.
okay, I didn't lose them,
That's
they were
right.
removed because
That's
you're on
right.
a different level. And
That's
so
right.
I like to call this period, one of the things that I say is isolation. Like you're in isolation.
Hmm.
And so when you're in isolation, you tend to elevate because you typically are pouring more into yourself. So when you
That's right.
elevate, you go through a shakedown period where it's like, okay, God is like, okay, Deana, we have Dr. Kathleen Walls. Do we still
Hmm.
want her in our stratosphere? And I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, of course. Right. So, okay,
Hmm.
Dr. Kathleen Wall stays. Then they'll
Hmm.
say, okay, Deana, we have John from North
Hmm.
Philly. Sorry,
Hmm.
John, you listening, you know. John's not a real person. But we have John from North Philly, and he
Hmm.
did all these toxic things to you. Do you still want him in your, stratosphere? And so you have the
Hmm.
opportunity to say yes, no, or whatever. But if John is removed, it's up to you to like go through with the removal or to
That's right.
re-loop through. So it's always a
Hmm.
choice, but you have to decide like what is best for you. But
Hmm.
the overall theme is that people are you don't lose anyone, people are removed. So
That's right. And that is such a mindset shift.
yeah,
Working with children, they used to be like, so and so, my teacher didn't give me any points. I said, you didn't earn any points.
right,
They're not giving them out. My teacher
right,
took away my points. They didn't take them. You lost the points, right?
yes,
So it's
the
that owner,
accountability.
there's that accountability, it's that ownership. So to your point, right, you didn't lose the person. The
Mhm.
person was removed for your good.
Yes,
And when we understand that everything is happening for our good. So I love the names. Miss Ambitious 44 over on the Instagram side of life says, I
yes,
love this.
hi,
She says, I love this mindset, totally relevant to what's happening in my life right now. And
yes,
and a certain massage therapist
uh
by the
huh,
name
uh
of
huh.
Tina says, yes, GF.
Both of those are my girls. Hey,
Yes,
girls.
yes, yes, yes. So yeah, you are absolutely right. I was and it's funny because I had said earlier when I was thinking about this topic, I said I have to make sure I reference this other book, and it ends up that I reference it in this writing. So again, in my Live by the Spirit book on page 35, the story number 9 is going beyond what I know and into who I am. Oh, let me see. Miss Ambitious said, what I love about that statement is that it's validating to the experience and allows one to be objective versus internalizing what happened.
Yes,
100%.
yes.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
definitely. All right. So going beyond what I know and into who I am, it seems sometimes as if I am being moved outside of my territory into an unfamiliar land. I feel as if I am being moved out of my comfort zone. Yet during this journey, I am discovering more of who I am. I am going beyond what I know and into who I am.
Mhm.
At times, I find myself in a period of reflecting on what I know so that I can stand comfortably and strong while in this new place, this unfamiliar place. Similar to the journey of ordinary in The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. Now, if you don't have The Dream Giver, if you haven't read The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson, I encourage everyone to go get it. I don't get commission yet, but I reference that book a lot. I give it
Mhm.
a lot of my clients have this book.
Say it one more time.
It's called The Dream Giver,
Okay.
and the author's name is Bruce Wilkinson, Wilkinson.
Okay.
It first came out in 2004, but I mean, he's got activities and all types of things.
Okay.
So, all right. So at times I feel like I'm in the wilderness waiting for the next set of directions and or signs to lead me to my destination. The lessons include learning to be comfortable and patient and trust the meantime. In other words, learning to trust and be open to Spirit's guidance, to God's plan for my life. This phase of the journey reminds me of moving in or packing for a trip. When I
Mm-hmm.
travel or move, I pack what I need and leave the rest, knowing that if I need something else, I can pick it up along the way. However, sometimes when I travel, I am unsure of what I need, so I take only the basics. For me, the main items that I have quote unquote packed for this part of my journey are being open to and trusting Spirit. In my book, The Greatest Soul Journey, the EST stands for Encourages Spiritual Transformation. As I move into my greatest self, I am open to Spirit and trust the process of spiritual transformation. I am moving beyond what I know. As I express more, the more talents I use, the more experiences I have, the more I move into who I am. As you continue on your life journey, I encourage you to remain open to Spirit and to move beyond what you know. So we have to grow into the fullness of who we are and being obedient, being courageous enough to take those steps and move forward enables us to experience ourselves in a whole new way. I'll give you another example of when you answered the call.
I knew it. I was like, why she? Go
Setting,
ahead.
setting up. Let's see what Leslie said first. Though she said we also have to be strong, not to get in our own way by wanting to hold on. A
Right.
hundred
So
percent.
can I just speak to
Of
that really
course.
quickly?
Yeah.
So holding on would be, I know I gave the example of John, but you're trying to hold on to that particular person, that cycle. So if John presents himself again and
Mm-hmm.
you loop back through that, you trying to hold on to that particular time. So
Yeah.
you have to be okay with letting him
Let
or
it
her go.
go.
Right.
Yes.
Because you know that anything that you lose is going to be replaced with better.
Come
But
on.
you step into that understanding. So I'll say it again. Anything that you lose
Come on.
or anything that is removed, right, will be replaced with better. But you have to trust that and you have to trust that it's going to be, okay.
Yes.
And it's done for your good. So, yes.
So this means that if a breakup happens, that you'll be replaced with better.
Yes.
Mm.
That's always like my saving, like, grace. It's like, okay, God, like, so if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking to him anymore and
Mm-hmm.
he was like the top of all the guys that I dated, you
Mm-hmm.
mean to tell me that he's going to be replaced with better?
Yes.
That always gets me hype. I'm like, okay,
Yes.
God, it's like, let me get ready for my date or something. I
Yes.
don't know. That
Yes.
energy where it's like, okay, let me get ready. Let me prepare. Let me level up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll just say really quickly, because I know you want to make your points.
No, it's all good. These are points that need to be making. This is more.
Yes.
Yes. Come on.
During every like separation or breakup, because I wasn't never really in a serious relationship. I would like date and then it would get to a point where it just didn't work out, right? So I would end
Mm-hmm.
or the person would end it. And so during my in between time, I will always go back to my list, our
Mm-hmm.
infamous list of what do you want in a partner? And
Oh,
so,
I thought you meant who your players list. My bad. Go ahead.
I don't want to be a player. I was never a player though. Like I was a one guy girl. Like I could never
Oh.
like carry it because I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like I'm always doing something, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's school or the kids or I'm just not built to date
Right.
multiple people at the same time. But
Right.
so I created a list, which I always tell my clients, I think we talked about this as well,
Mm-hmm.
of your ideal partner, right?
Yep.
And so every time that I would like separate from someone or stop dating someone, I would
Mm-hmm.
take all of their good qualities, if it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
already on the list, add those qualities to my list, and then I
Mm-hmm.
will take their negative qualities, flip it to a positive, and
Mm-hmm.
add those to the list. And then,
Mm-hmm.
my little razzle dazzle self, I would record, audio record myself saying it, right? Speaking
Mm-hmm.
out, the list.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will listen to it at night and in the morning or whenever I just felt like listening to it. And then within a matter of time, boom, I will meet the next person
Yes.
that was better
Yes.
than, so this is the work. This is the work that you have to do to prepare
Yep.
yourself to
Yep.
align to that person
Yep.
so that you can get the better. The better will come, but it's like, okay, if you put more time and effort into, specifically saying how you want that person to be better,
Yep.
then it comes quicker
Yep.
and more efficiently and just clear. It's like
Yeah.
you identify, oh my God, I prayed for all of these things, and
Yeah.
boom, here it is.
And you're
So,
also elevating yourself to match that. So
yes,
right. So I remember when there were times where it was just like, oh my goodness, why aren't I dating somebody? I want to be dating somebody, and it would be like, girl, look at your energy. Like, are you wanting to attract what you're putting out right now?
yes,
And it was like, because in a matter of moments, your energy is going to be somewhere else, and then you're gonna be with this person who's gonna be in love with you because that's what they do, and then you're gonna be having to deal with that. So
hmm,
get your energy right before you go out there and attract something.
right,
So, what are you really attempting to attract? And
right.
that would set my mind straight. And then I'd start working on whatever I needed to work on myself.
For sure. One thing
Mhm.
too, I would ask myself, okay, what was it about my energy that attracted this person to me?
Mhm.
So if it was
Mhm.
something like, I don't know, negative that they were doing, like, ew, I did not like that. Why? I would do an internal, honest
Assessment.
inventory.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what was I giving off? What possibly could I have been giving off to attract
Mhm.
that?
Yeah.
So that's another
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah.
hmm,
Very good. Very good.
yeah.
All right. So, of course, I have didn't write down what I was going to say to you, and I'm hoping it will come back into my head at some point.
No,
So,
I think you were going to say another calling that I
yes,
received,
yes,
that
I
you
was.
received.
Yes.
And I think I know what the calling was.
Okay, we'll put it on the table because I have no
I
clue
think,
right now.
okay, the calling to do the lives with you.
Probably was. Go ahead. I like where it's going.
And I'm like, I know she's going to go here at some point. So let me just beat you to the punch because I
Very
think it's
good.
easier if I take my own band-aid off than
I
you
like
ripping it
it.
off.
I like it.
Okay.
Go ahead. That wasn't it, but I do like it. Go ahead.
Okay. So it was a point where I wanted to like grow, right? I think it
Mhm.
was around the time where was I putting more into like social media. I
Mhm.
feel like it was around that time because when I was doing the research last night, that's kind of like where I started on
Yep.
myself, like
Yep.
And I said I want to what did I say? I want to work on my public speaking.
Yep.
And Lord, like immediately, she's like, okay, what do you want to, just ready to put me in front of a 1,000-seat
That's
stadium. And
right.
I'm like, whoa,
Let's go.
let's slow down. Okay, let's take baby steps. So we came up with the idea to create the blueprint, the greatest blueprint, which
Yep.
is a combination of both of our programs, our Your
Yep.
Consulting Farm and then the blueprint for self-love.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, I think we did like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
15.
I think it was
Yep.
like 15.
Yep.
And I don't even want to see the video because I'm sure it's a cringy mess. Cringy mess. And over time, I became more comfortable with
Mhm.
it, right? To the point where she would encourage me to pick the topics because any topic that I chose, I would be more inclined to speak. Dr.
Yep.
Watts can speak about anything at any time, anywhere, any place. She's like Deana Jackson. Like you tell her, just show up
I'm there.
and she there and she gonna get the party going.
Let's go.
Okay. Me, I'm just getting there. Okay. I'm a little bit more comfortable. So over time, it went from 15 minutes to 30 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes an hour and a half.
Have.
If she know, if I would have let her, it'd probably be 2 hours. We would sit here and it just started to feel organic, and very more comfortable. And so the feedback that we now receive from the show is like, oh my God, you guys are such, you compliment each other. I like your dynamic.
Mhm.
They even complimented me on like how I now speak,
Mhm.
and I'm able to articulate myself, and I'm more conscious
Mhm.
of the ums and the little things that I do. So I thought that that's what you were going to say. That's where you were
Mhm.
going, but apparently
And I'm
not.
gonna ride
So,
this train a little bit longer.
Lord,
And
okay.
now you were invited. You've gone out to speak at other
Yeah.
events, and I haven't been there. Like there were
Yes.
times where I would go as a support, like you got this, but
Hmm.
you've gone and you've spoken at events and different things and run other groups. And so again, the call,
Yeah.
right? You said this is what was stirring inside of you,
Yeah.
and then finally,
Terrified.
right? And then finally you brought it up that day, and it was
Right.
like, all right, let's go.
Right.
So that's also a call because, right, the call is the inner stirring, it's the inner knowing. Um, so I would even say for you, it was that inner knowing that you wanted to devote more time to content creation.
Yeah.
And what took place when you answered that call? You went from what, 1500, 2000, somewhere around there?
25. I think it's
2500 was
2500.
it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2500 in like February of, what was it, 2021?
Mm, I think.
And then
Yeah.
by May,
By
it
July.
wasn't that long? Yeah.
July. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
July jumped up to 34.
Yeah.
34,000.
Thousand. Yeah, not 3,400, 34,000. Let's be clear. Right.
Yeah.
But that was a call that you had
Yeah.
to do that. And you became very diligent and intentional about time, about content, what you were going to post, and so forth. And so now you're impacting people that you may not ever physically meet,
Right. For sure. I
right?
remember the time you had me write down the I think one day I had like a low point or something. I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna do this
Yes,
anymore.
I sure did.
And she had me, she said, I want you to go on do all of your reels from this point, from the beginning to now, and tell me how many views.
Mhm.
It probably was like 500,000 or something,
It
like
was
probably
over
more
that.
than that.
It was more than
Yeah.
that because one of yours has what, more like 1.4
1 million.
million views.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to shift the mindset
Yeah.
and look at impact, right?
Hmm.
So if you get any message tonight, it is Dr. Wade said authenticity is very attractive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So follow that inner knowing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get that nudge, trust it, right? It's
Hmm.
gonna do good for you. It's gonna do good for somebody else. We're not talking about hurting nobody. We're talking
No.
about the positive,
Yes.
the positive inner knowings,
Yes.
right? That of things that you're supposed to do. It was the nudge that got me to take my husband to lunch. He wasn't my
Yes.
husband at the time. I didn't feel like being bothered with the man.
Is he still in the room? He's probably like,
No, no,
oh yeah,
he
yeah.
know, he know. We'll bring it up on Thursday. We have a stronger together on Thursday.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't know. I had no idea that going to lunch with him that day, but it was an inner knowing that that was
Yeah.
exactly what I was supposed to do. He did not live in this state. The
Mm.
day that I was nudged to call him and ask him to go to lunch, he happened
Yeah.
to be doing an event in Philadelphia. Of course you are.
Right.
And he was available
The
at the
stars,
time.
the stars
And they
aligned.
sure did. And who knew that
Right.
we would not ever be apart from that moment forward, right? So, X
Surprise.
number of years, yeah, surprise, right?
Right.
12, 13 years later, here you
Right.
go.
Still,
Um,
still kicking.
the stronger together.
Yes.
So that nudge happens in all areas of your life, professionally, personally, right? It spiritually. And so it's important that you build that muscle inside
Mhm.
of you. And it happens over time. And sometimes there are lessons. Everything that happens is not a test.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Mhm.
it's a lesson where you have to learn your understanding so that when the test comes, you're able to pass. All right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Dr. Wade said it must have been a Thursday. Now, what's funny is we got married on a Thursday, Dr.
Mhm.
Wade. So, yes. All right. So, God's call.
Yes.
here we are. We have been, I was looking at my date. So I think we did our first live 2021, but we did our practice sample 2021, but
Yes,
we started the program 2022.
got you. Okay.
Okay. So
Mhm.
yes. Um, Miss Ambitious said, speaking of tests, so
Block her. No,
I,
she's referring
are you
to.
allowed to tell or no?
Yes, I'm allowed to tell because it's
Okay, go ahead.
professional. So
Yes,
that no one told her to bring it over here.
she brought it.
She brought it. So here we are. She's referring to my clinical license test.
Oh,
Yeah, so she
I
is my
love it.
supervisor and my accountability. And she's from, I feel like, one of the B's in I think it's Brooklyn. And
Okay.
so she bring that Brooklyn
Oh, all that
energy.
energy.
Yes.
Hmm.
So she like, yo, what's up, D? Like
That's
we're
right.
here. Right.
That's right.
So
Put
yeah,
in there if
speaking of
it's
that.
Brooklyn. We got to make sure we represent.
I think it's Brooklyn. Yeah, I feel like it's
Okay.
Brooklyn.
I have
Yeah.
a feeling it'll pop up in a moment.
Yes. She gonna be like
So,
BK.
mhm.
So yeah, speaking of tests.
Okay. Okay. I love it. Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Do not pass the baton. No.
She said, "Yep."
Yes.
So, all right, BK. My husband's
Hmm.
from BK too, by
Yes.
way of St. Lucia. So we
Hmm.
know that energy very, very well.
Very.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, boy, they coming at you. Dr. Wade, they are coming at her on all spaces. Get it done.
Lord.
DB dragging her feet with that.
I do.
Oh, well, now I know from both sides. Thank you both. Y'all, this call will be coming to an end very shortly. I have some business to take care of. So,
I'm turning my phone off. God bless and good night. Phone's on do not disturb. No, I do need to like really get it
well,
together.
so
So
with that being said, right, tonight's show is about answering the call, recognizing the call, and so forth. And
yeah.
so we have been with y'all for 2 years. We had no idea when we started this show that we would be going on for 2 years. We started with Instagram Live. Kiana said that was the calling for her. Everybody bringing it up.
Ba-ding, ba-ding,
Come
ba-ding.
on now, that's right. They are calling. They're like, she ain't listening to the internal call. And Kiana, let's talk about it. Because when that internal call, you keep ignoring that internal call, that external call will come for you. So
Yes.
looks like the external calls. Now we just need somebody on LinkedIn to come drop it. So anybody watching on LinkedIn, if you would like to encourage Deana to go take care of that test, go on and put it in
God.
the chat. We'll pass the message to her. So
Got it. Received.
okay. So
Received.
now, so with that being said, we have done 2 years. We thank you all for joining us for 2 years. We are making a transition. So obviously, Deana has a test that she needs to be taking back her time to be studying for and preparing for. So she can't
Didn't
blame
even know
us
until
and
tonight.
y'all, right? Didn't know, but now
Didn't
we
even
know.
know. Now I
Yes.
can dedicate Tuesdays at 8 o'clock.
You sure can to be studying because you already have it, right? You got the
Yes.
habit time. Yes, Dr. Wade said, congratulations on 2 years and still going strong.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So it works out. So we thought we were going to go until May because you all know we usually take the summer off, but it turns out one of my contracts was extended, renewed, extended, add on, however they phrased it.
Hmm.
And I will most likely be traveling on the first and third Tuesday of May. So tonight actually ends up being our last greatest blueprint designated first and third Tuesdays.
Yes.
So, anything that you want to say? Of course, I got a couple more things to say, but anything you want to say?
Keep it cute, guys. Keep it cute. No tear jerkers. Comments.
And how about you, Deana? Anything you want to say to the people?
I just want to say thank you for being so kind to us, right? Especially me. You've been doing this for a very long time.
Mhm.
Sisters, circles, and
Sisters in harmony, sister
sisters in
circle, all of
harmony.
it. Yep,
Yes,
yep,
ask out the walls and friends. Like you
yes.
will back. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like, thank you guys for being so welcoming,
Mhm.
and engaging and
Mhm.
supportive. It really means a lot to me, but the both of us, but me, because I'm like a newbie. So it's like, okay,
Mhm.
it was a very comfortable experience. Once I got out of my own way, it was very comfortable, freeing. And yeah, even when I got on tired, you guys like, oh girl, your hair looks cute. You know, I was like, I look a mess,
Mhm.
but it's a very supportive community.
Yes.
So, and you guys follow us from your Instagram page to my
Mhm.
Instagram page to
Mhm.
now, YouTube. So I just
Yep.
want to thank you guys as well for following us and being
Yes.
very supportive during
Yes.
this time. So,
Yes.
mhm.
And many of y'all have gotten more therapy out of us than some of our own
Listen,
clients have.
yes,
Look.
yes, hours upon hours. Okay,
Exactly.
yes,
And y'all get to hit replay.
and the replay. Yes,
So, all right, pawn the replay. So,
right. Yes.
so make sure if you are not following Deana, how can people follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok,
Hmm.
at DEANA, Deana Davis, underscore LSW. And on YouTube, I think there's no underscore, it's just Deana
Okay.
Davis LSW. So,
Okay.
yes.
And Dr. Wade said, thank you both for sharing your journey to uplift and inspire. Blessings of continued success in every future endeavor.
Yes. Thank you,
Thank
Dr. Wade.
you. Yes, yes. Books that you want people to know about
Yes.
and how they
So
can
I
get in contact with you.
Okay, so you can get in contact with me through all of my social media handles. I also have a website, www.deanaldavis.com. You
Hmm.
can email me, clinicianddavis@gmail.com. Books. So I have a few books. I have a 90-day self-love planner, which is the newest addition to my collection. It's
Hmm.
available for digital download and it's also available on Amazon.
Hmm.
Everything is linked in my bio. So if you go on Instagram or TikTok, I believe it's the first and second, links in my bio. I
Hmm.
also have a 30-day self-love journal that helps you just to kickstart your self-love journey, helps you to tap into yourself and
Hmm.
to,
Uh-oh,
um, I
you
don't know what
back.
happened.
Okay.
Yes, I
You
don't
went
know.
on
It
a
just
self-love journey, disappeared and came back, but we're glad you came back.
so the journal helps you with your self-love journey. And then I also have an ebook of how to heal from a heartbreak, which is
Hmm.
a quick, journal, takes you through the healing process. And heartbreak doesn't mean that it's like a relationship, but it can mean any type of heartbreak. So
That's right.
I think those are all of my
All
my
your stuff.
things.
And
Yeah,
people,
currently.
if they wanna schedule time with you, they can book a consultation and
Yes, free consultations, 15-minute
mhm,
consultation. You can schedule it through the website, www.deanaldavis.com, or you can also
mhm.
go through any of my social media handles. And I believe it is the fifth link in my bio. So,
Okay, fantastic. All right, y'all know you can find me here at Ask Dr. Walls 525 on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. Just so that you know, for the rest of this week, I have an interview tomorrow night at 6 p.m. on my Planner's Knowledge Vodcast with poet and author Zeus Cruz. So I'm excited to talk with him. And then Thursday at 8 p.m., my husband Ed Herman and I will be doing our couples show, our Stronger Together show, which should be good and entertaining as always. And then I have some other shows coming up. So don't be surprised. I think I had to bring back the throwback for Dr. Walls and Friends. I used to do Dr. Walls and Friends on first and third Tuesdays, first and third Tuesdays from 8 to 10 p.m. It's Dr. Walls and Friends. We are inspiring, encouraging, and motivating you to live your purpose and passion too. So join us from 8 to 10 p.m. right here on Dr. Walls and Friends. First and third Tuesdays. All right. So we won't go from 8 to 10 p.m. though, y'all. We will.
I hope not.
We'll probably be 8 to 9 p.m. So I had to do that
Right.
remix.
Yeah.
So my mom used to get so mad at that song because she would be sitting here and she'd be like, well, what day does Kathleen come on again? And she'd be like, first and third Tuesday. And she's like, you got me singing that doggone song. So, But that'll be good. So I'll be able to bring back some guests. So don't be surprised. And I'm always popping up with some new and some innovative things. My YouTube channel is just all of my interests, and
Hmm.
I get a chance. These are conversations that I have with people off the air, and so I'll be able to share conversations with you with on the air, and you'll be able to
Hmm.
partake in them. So I'm excited. I do have some guests that are coming up, some that you've seen, let's just say around, and then I had Dr. Wade talking about that's my jam. She also said thank. She said Whitley thanks us also.
Yes, I
So
was gonna
yes,
say.
she did. But yeah, I have some guests lined up. Some people who So I'm excited. We're getting them. Mary talking about that used to be my jam. Well, look, it's coming back. Look. And then I have some other people who we're just working on scheduling. So I'm
Hmm.
super, super excited to have them on. They have some wonderful stories that I look forward to sharing with you all. Also, Froggy T and Bunny, I'm excited to announce. So, those who don't know, my children's book series, The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, a hip hop tale. There's the reunion.
Hmm.
There is Froggy Foo and Mungu. Bunny gets bullied, feeling feelings. And I literally sent back and got the final version of the new one. And it will
Yay.
drop probably closer to my birthday.
Okay.
But that one is Clueless, Careless, Colt.
Okay.
And so that one will be coming out shortly. I'm very excited about that one coming as always. And then, of course, I have my other ones, The Greatest Soul Journey and Live by the Spirit. And guess what, y'all? I was cleaning up today, this
Hmm.
afternoon, and I came across, I'm not lying, Live by the Spirit, volume 2, 3, and 4.
What? That's the
So,
thing. I didn't know.
oh yeah, because Live by the Spirit is volume 1. So
Oh.
the other ones were just in a pile that I never compiled and made into the other volumes. So at some point, when I have some time, I will actually work on bringing all of those together and releasing those. And then I do have my digital download, which is the Goal Getter workbook.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you can always go to my website, Ask Dr. Walls, AskDrWalls.com. You can get to everything via that website.
Hmm.
And you can also send me messages. So please subscribe to our channels. And last but not least, please subscribe to UCCN TV on YouTube, UCCN TV. We just need a few more subscribers to get over 1,000, and be sure to watch our web series, Kadaga. So I think that's it. Thank you,
Yes.
darling. You have
Yes.
grown so much. So
Thank
proud of
you.
you and
Thank
super
you.
excited that you'll be taking this test and passing it. Got her. All right. So,
I will. I will.
good night, everyone. I'll see you soon. Be well.
Bye.
All right.